Racing to the 2021 Kentucky Derby as we continue our 2020 profile starters underneath the twin spires. And today we're going to talk about the big strapping son of Tisnow, Midnight Bourbon, the smooth runner that ran in all three legs of the Fairground Series. He ran in the Lecomte Stakes. He won that, went wire to wire, came back and competed in the Risen Star and the Louisiana Derby, finished second in the Louisiana Derby to Hot Rod Charlie. And an interesting horse, he lost his last two races. He's by Tisnow. He does have some stamina influences in that pedigree as Malibu Moon, AP Indy, and a lot of these horses take a little bit of a time to develop, especially some of the Tisnows and AP Indy, the Belmont Stakes winner and Breeders' Cup Classic winner. Definitely a source of stamina on both as a sire and as a broodmare sire. So a good combination of speed and class. Of course, Tisnow, a two-time Breeders' Cup Classic winner at 1.25 miles, and really has some nice distance horses as a sire. And Malibu Moon, of course, he had a lightly race career. Female family is a little bit strong here. It's more kind of middle distance type on the running side, but I think he's going to get some classy type horse, and that's where Midnight Bourbon seems to have developed. Now the trainer is Steve Asmussen. The jockey, Joe Talamo, as we record this, rode him the last couple of months. I assume he's going to be on him for the Kentucky Derby. Taking a look at their records through the years, Steve Asmussen with 21 starters in the Kentucky Derby, 0 wins. He did have 2 seconds and 2 thirds. His best place finishes were Nero, who finished second in the Kentucky Derby, and looking at Lee, who ran second to Always Dreaming when Always Dreaming went wire to wire in the slot for trainer Todd Pletcher. So Steve Asmussen, one of those guys that's on the schneid right now, 21 starters. His best runner was probably Gun Runner. He made a nice move and had a chance to win the Kentucky Derby, ended up running third. So for me, that was probably his best horse who had a chance to win the race. Nero kind of came running late for second. Animal Kingdom kind of got going first in that Derby, and then looking at Lee, was never really in contention, passed a lot of horses down the lane to run second late in the game. So Steve Asmussen, can he win the 2021 Kentucky Derby with Midnight Bourbon? Probably the best strength of Midnight Bourbon is he is battle tested. He's got a lot of races. He had a good 2-year-old foundation, has progressed slowly as a 3-year-old. That's probably the only concern is his last 2 races, he faded in the Risen Star when he got a little bit more pressure on the front end. And then he chased all the way around in the Louisiana Derby. An interesting race in that race. Hot Rod Charlie went wire to wire. I think going into that race, maybe Midnight Bourbon thought he could secure the lead, but Hot Rod Charlie was ridden aggressively in that race and took the advantage. Midnight Bourbon made 3 runs at him in the race. Going into the turn, it looked like he was going to get him. Then early on in the stretch, he made another stab at him. And then late, Hot Rod Charlie just pulled away from him. Now, the Louisiana Derby is 1 mile and 3/16, which is just less than 1.25 miles, the Kentucky Derby distance. That's my only concern. He didn't really progress in those last 2 races, and I'm not a firm believer in that Louisiana Derby being stretched out to 1.25 miles. He ran in the 1 1/8 Risen Star in February, and then he goes 1 mile and 3/16 in March. Now, they do get 6 weeks to come back and train and prepare for the Kentucky Derby, but we'll see. Last year's winner never ran again or has not run since then, and we saw a couple of horses fade badly, Mandaloon and Proxy, in that Louisiana Derby. And I just think, running 1 mile and 1/8 may have been too much in February. Then they come back with 1 mile and 3/16. So you kind of have to regroup. And the Kentucky Derby, it seems like over the last 10, 15 years, it's the horse that's peaking and ready to run his best race on the first Saturday in May. And I'm not sure that's Midnight Bourbon, but he's got tactical speed, good trainer. Joe Talamo rides him well. He can be forwardly placed. He can take the lead if nobody else wants it. And the pedigree says he should get better this summer. I think ultimately he's going to be a good Belmont Stakes runner if he doesn't win the Kentucky Derby and they pass on the Preakness Stakes. What do you think of Midnight Bourbon? Can he improve and win the Kentucky Derby? Leave a comment below. We've also got videos up for Helium and Hot Rod Charlie. You can watch those Kentucky Derby contenders. Hit subscribe. Follow me at Derbyologist on Twitter as we race you up to the 2021 Kentucky Derby.